What if I told you there is something a woman can offer a man that reaches deeper than physical intimacy ever could? Something he quietly longs for, searches for in every bond, and values in a way he can't always put into words. It is not her looks, it is not her body. It is something far more subtle, a hidden strength that many women never fully notice in themselves, and when she learns how to use it, she stops chasing love. Instead, love naturally moves toward her. When people discuss what men want, they usually focus on the surface level, the physical attraction. But what often goes unnoticed is that many men secretly desire something even stronger than that, something they rarely admit even to themselves. It is emotional safety, that calm, steady feeling of being accepted without needing to perform or hide parts of who they are. And here is the truth that surprises many people. Most men do not even realize how much they need this until they finally feel it with the right person. Just stay with this for a moment because this changes everything you thought you knew. Imagine a man who has spent his entire life being told to stay strong, to push through, to never break down. From a young age, he learns that emotions like fear, sadness, or uncertainty are things to hide away. He is told to succeed, to lead, to provide, to stay in control, but rarely to express what he actually feels inside. Because of this conditioning, even when he achieves success, even when he has money, respect, or stability, there can still be a quiet emptiness inside him. A part of him feels unseen. That hidden part is not looking for more praise or attention. It is looking for something softer, something real, a space where he does not have to act strong all the time, where he can simply exist without judgment, no pressure, no mask, just honesty and presence. And when a man finds even a glimpse of that kind of connection, it changes how he shows up in every part of his life. Most women are never told they hold this kind of influence. They are often taught to focus on appearance, attraction, and being desired. But the most unforgettable woman is not always the one who stands out visually. She is the one who makes a man feel calm in her presence, the one who listens without rushing to respond, the one who does not interrupt his emotions or try to fix them immediately, but allows him to express himself fully. She does not react with shock when he opens up. She does not withdraw when he shows vulnerability. Instead, she creates a space where his defenses slowly drop without force. It happens naturally because being around her feels safe. And when that safety is present, something powerful shifts inside him. He opens up more. He connects deeper. He stops trying to earn acceptance and starts feeling it. And just wait, because this is where everything begins to change in ways most people never expect. Therapist or trying to repair his emotional wounds. It is about having enough emotional intelligence to simply hold space for a man's truth without losing your own balance. It is about understanding that real strength is not measured by how much you give away, but by how steady, calm, and grounded you remain within yourself. When a woman can create this kind of emotional atmosphere, she unlocks a kind of influence most people never realize exists. He becomes more open. Not because she forces it, but because she is not reactive. She does not take his silence or emotional distance as a personal attack. She does not demand openness. Instead, she naturally invites it through trust. Her energy quietly communicates, "You do not need to impress me, you only need to be honest." And when a man feels that deeply, when he knows his imperfections are safe there, something inside him relaxes. He lets his guard down. He starts to trust in a way he may never have before. And this is where connection begins to go beyond surface-level attraction into something far more real. This kind of emotional safety is never built through effort alone or trying to do everything right. It comes from emotional maturity, from a woman who has done her inner work and knows how to love without losing her identity in the process. From someone who understands that real intimacy is not built on just desire or chemistry, but on trust, presence, and the ability to be fully human together without fear. That is the kind of connection men often crave deeply, even when they cannot clearly express it. And if you are watching closely, you will notice something important here, because this is where most relationships either deepen or fall apart. There is something almost magnetic about a woman who enters a space with quiet confidence. She does not need attention. She does not try to prove her worth. She simply exists in her own grounded energy, calm, certain, unshaken, and that presence alone speaks louder than words. And it is not about ego or arrogance. It comes from a deeper place of self-awareness and emotional stability. That kind of energy naturally pulls people in without effort. A man feels it before he even understands it. He senses the steadiness, the lack of pressure, the absence of judgment. And stay with this, because this is the part most people miss. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, but it is powerful in a very quiet way. Rooted belief in her own self-worth that shows up without effort. It is quiet but powerful. This is what makes a woman magnetic in a way that goes far beyond looks, status, or surface charm. It is what makes a man naturally straighten up, focus more, and feel something he cannot easily explain. A subtle shift inside him, the energy of feminine certainty. A woman who carries this certainty does not chase attention. She does not over-explain herself. She does not depend on constant reassurance to feel okay. When a man is around her, he can sense that she would still be complete, still be at peace, even if he was not in her life. And strangely, that does not push him away. It pulls him in. Because deep down, most people are used to connections where someone is too needy, too reactive, or constantly seeking validation. But when a woman is steady within herself, not in a loud or showy way, but in a calm and grounded way, it creates a natural pull. She does not force anything. She does not chase. Yet he finds himself thinking about her, drawn back without understanding why. And if you are noticing this pattern, stay with it because it reveals a lot about human connection. This kind of certainty shows up in very small moments. She does not panic when replies are delayed. She does not fall apart when plans suddenly change. She does not demand instant answers just to calm her own anxiety, because she is already steady inside herself. She understands her own value, her own limits, and what she will or will not accept. Not from a place of anger or defense, but from clarity. She is not building emotional walls, she is building healthy standards. And when a woman holds those standards with calm confidence, without resentment or drama, it sets her apart in a way most people do not fully recognize. Men are highly sensitive to emotional energy, even when they cannot explain it logically. They can feel when someone is performing, when attention is being chased, when insecurity is hiding behind charm or over-effort. But they can also feel the opposite. A woman who is grounded, a woman who is not trying to earn her worth through being chosen. And here is where something interesting happens. That kind of presence does not just attract attention, it builds respect, it creates admiration. And in many cases, it quietly inspires a man to show up differently, to grow, to become more aware of himself. Not because he is being pressured, but because the energy around him feels steady and real. And the truth is, this kind of certainty is not about being perfect at all. It often comes from experience, from moments in life that taught her not to place her self-worth in someone else's hands. And if you are seeing the depth in this, you already understand why this changes everything in relationships. Choosing herself, even when it felt difficult, even when it meant walking away from what was familiar, from realizing that inner peace matters more than simply being accepted or liked. And when she carries that energy into a relationship, the entire dynamic shifts. It is no longer just about attraction, personality, or surface-level chemistry. He starts responding to something deeper, her self-respect. And that is where things begin to change in a quiet but powerful way. What makes this so impactful is that she does not need to constantly try to show it or prove it. It is simply part of who she is. She does not compete with other women because she is not involved in comparison games. She does not ride emotional highs and lows based on someone's attention because her stability does not depend on it. And that emotional steadiness becomes something a man feels as calmness in his life. In a world that often feels uncertain and fast-changing, being with someone who is consistent, grounded, and aware of herself feels like peace. And if you are really paying attention here, you will notice this is not something loud or dramatic. It is subtle, but it stays. When a man meets a woman who carries this kind of feminine certainty, he may not even be able to explain what exactly draws him in, but he feels it deeply. It shows in the way she carries herself, in how she can say no without guilt and say yes without fear or pressure. There is a quiet but strong message in her presence, that she is not searching for someone to complete her. She is already whole within herself. And that changes everything in how she is experienced in a relationship. There is also something very powerful about mystery, especially in a time where almost everything is shared instantly and nothing is left unknown. When a woman does not reveal everything about herself too quickly, when she does not rush to explain her entire past, her emotions, or every detail of her life, she naturally creates curiosity. And curiosity slowly turns into attraction. Men may not always realize it consciously, but they are often more drawn to what feels layered, what cannot be fully figured out in a single moment. And this is not about gains or manipulation at all. It is about understanding that attraction grows in space, in what is still unfolding, not what is fully exposed too soon. Stay with this, because this is where perception shifts. A woman who understands this does not rush to fill every silence with words. She is comfortable with pauses, with natural gaps in conversation, with letting moments breathe instead of forcing them. She allows space for a man to lean in, to ask questions, to discover her gradually. She is not in a hurry to tell her entire story in one sitting or give away every layer of herself immediately. Instead, she unfolds naturally over time, in a steady and grounded way, and that slow unfolding creates depth, connection, and a stronger sense of presence. Vulnerability in the first hour, and that does not mean she is emotionally shut down. It means she is intentional. She is selective with her emotional world, treating it like something meaningful, something that should be earned over time. And when a man picks up on that, something in him naturally leans in. He becomes more curious, more attentive, not because she is playing hard to get, but because she is not performing or giving everything away at once. Her depth does not try to impress, it gently invites. And that difference matters more than most people realize. Mystery also means she is not overly available, not just in a physical sense, but emotionally and energetically as well. A woman who gives all her time, attention, and focus immediately, without balance, can sometimes overwhelm a connection without even noticing it. But when she has her own life, her own interests, her own rhythm, and does not place a man at the center of her world too quickly, it sends a powerful signal. It shows self-respect. It shows that she is not desperate for validation or approval. And that calm independence becomes something deeply attractive, because there is no urgency in her energy, only stability. And that stability quietly pulls people in rather than pushing them away. Stay with this, because this is where attraction often becomes real. What makes mystery so powerful is that it creates space for discovery, and discovery is at the core of how emotional interest grows. If everything is revealed too early, there is no sense of unfolding, no journey to experience. But when a woman opens up slowly, with awareness and timing, it keeps a man mentally engaged. The connection stops feeling instant and starts feeling layered. He does not just observe her, he gets to understand her piece by piece, and each new layer adds depth to how he sees her. It makes her stand out because she is not rushing to impress or overexpose herself. She understands that her value is not in how fast she opens up, but in how intentionally she shares who she is. And that alone changes everything in how she is remembered. Mystery also leaves room for imagination. And imagination is a major part of emotional attraction that many people underestimate. When a woman is not always available, when she does not explain every thought or emotion instantly, it naturally creates space in a man's mind. He starts to wonder. He starts thinking about her even when she is not there, not because she is distant or cold, but because she is not overly predictable. That sense of the unknown keeps her alive in his thoughts longer than constant availability ever could. And it is important to understand this is not about being distant or detached. It is about being thoughtful with emotional access. The more meaningful something feels, the more value it naturally holds. And when a woman understands how to carry herself this way, her presence becomes something a man does not easily forget. She does not try to appear mysterious on purpose. She simply stays grounded in who she is, allows situations to develop at their own pace, and never feels pressured to reveal every part of herself too quickly. There is a quiet strength in a woman who knows how to support a man without losing her own identity in the process. It is a delicate balance. Caring without disappearing into someone else's needs, being emotionally open without becoming emotionally dependent. When a woman reaches this balance, she carries a kind of influence that not only draws a man closer, but also earns his deep respect over time. Because at the core, many men are looking for a partner who believes in them without abandoning herself in the process. Real support is not about fixing or rescuing someone. It comes from presence, from standing beside a man, not above him, not behind him, but with him. Not because she is trying to prove her love, but because she genuinely sees his direction and potential and chooses to walk alongside him. That kind of energy feels grounding. When a man knows there is a woman who supports him, encourages him, and shares insight when it matters, but never tries to control his path, it creates a deep sense of emotional safety. It is a different level of connection, built on strength from both sides, not emotional dependence from one. But many women get caught in the idea that supporting someone means giving up parts of themselves, that to be loving, they must become smaller, quieter, or always agreeable, that they must place his goals above their own or tolerate things that slowly weaken their self-respect. And if you are noticing this pattern, it is important to pause here, because this is where many lose themselves without realizing it. True support does not require self-erasure. In fact, the strongest kind of support always comes with healthy boundaries. It is the ability to say, I believe in you, but I will not abandon myself to make things easier for you. That kind of clarity is rare, and it stands out to a man who is looking for a true partner, not someone who only takes care of him emotionally. When a woman can stay independent while still being emotionally present, it shows maturity. She can listen without absorbing every emotion. She can understand without carrying everything as her own burden. She can offer comfort without losing her inner balance. This is not emotional distance, it is emotional stability. It tells a man, you are capable of handling your own journey, and I am here to walk with you, not carry it for you. And that difference is what creates respect that lasts. This strength becomes even more powerful when it is combined with genuine belief. When a woman sees not only who a man is today, but who he is trying to become, and reflects that possibility back to him in a calm, pressure-free way, something shifts inside. Like most people, men also carry doubts. They question themselves, their path, their worth, their direction. When a woman can speak to his potential without comparison or pressure, he feels understood in a way he rarely experiences. And that kind of emotional recognition builds a bond that is not based on obligation but on real connection. And if you are paying attention here, this is where relationships start to feel different at a deeper level. What many do not realize is that this kind of support requires real inner strength. It is not passive at all. It does not come from waiting on the sidelines. It comes from a woman who knows herself so clearly that she can give without losing her center, love without attachment, and stand beside someone without falling into their struggles. She is not there to fix him or take over his life challenges. She is there because she brings her own value, not through sacrifice, but through alignment. And that quiet balance of softness and strength is something a man does not forget easily. It earns respect, it builds trust, and it creates a kind of admiration that stays. Not because she needs protection, but because she naturally commands respect through who she is. She throws a witty comment, then smiles like she already knows how the moment will land 10 steps ahead. That kind of energy makes a man feel more awake, more engaged, more alive inside the interaction. It brings out the part of him that wants to step forward, to impress, to pursue her energy, not from ego, but because being around her feels exciting and full of life. There is something about that playful spark that makes everything feel less heavy, more natural, more real. And if you are paying attention here, this is the kind of energy that quietly changes attraction without forcing anything. Playfulness, when mixed with the right amount of challenge, becomes a very powerful form of connection. Men are naturally drawn to pursuit, not in a controlling or manipulative sense, but in the sense that effort feels meaningful. A woman who is playful understands how to awaken that feeling without forcing it. She knows when to tease lightly, when to laugh at his jokes, and also when to call him out in a light-hearted way if he is trying too hard. She is never harsh, never cutting, but she keeps the energy light, fun, and slightly unpredictable, and that unpredictability is exactly what keeps him mentally engaged. It gives him something to respond to, something to lean into. It makes every conversation feel alive, like there is always another layer waiting to be discovered. Challenge, when done in a healthy way, is not about creating distance or playing emotional games. It is about showing that attraction is not automatic just because someone shows interest. It is not about being difficult. It is about having depth and self-respect. A man feels this when a woman does not get easily impressed by surface-level charm. She listens carefully to words, but also pays attention to actions. She is not afraid to gently question ideas or tease him when he becomes too serious or overly confident. That energy quietly communicates. I am not here to be impressed easily. I am here to connect on something real. And when a man feels that, his behavior naturally shifts. He becomes more present, more thoughtful, more intentional in how he shows up. Playfulness also reduces the pressure that often builds in dating and relationships. It creates space where things do not feel so serious all the time, where there is room to simply enjoy the moment instead of constantly thinking about outcomes. When a woman can laugh at herself, laugh with him, and not overanalyze every interaction, it becomes refreshing. For many men, there is already enough pressure in life to perform, to get things right, to stay composed. But when he is with someone who brings lightness without losing emotional awareness, it feels like a break from that pressure. It allows him to relax, to drop his guard, and to show more of his real self without fear of judgment. But the real power lies in balance. A woman who is playful and lightly challenging does not use it as a tool to confuse or control. It is not about games. It is about creating genuine energy in the connection. That mix of warmth, humor, and self-respect makes the interaction feel dynamic instead of flat. It keeps curiosity alive while still feeling emotionally safe. And when that balance is present, attraction does not feel forced. It feels natural, steady, and deeply engaging in a way that stays with him long after the moment ends. She never uses sarcasm as a way to push people away, or as a shield to hide behind. Instead, she uses it to build connection. Her teasing feels warm, not sharp. Her playful challenges come from a place of self-respect, not insecurity or the need to feel above someone else. She does not challenge a man to prove she is better. She does it because she values honesty, depth, and real connection. And that small difference changes everything. When a woman can be playful, teasing, and lightly challenging, while still staying kind, present, and emotionally grounded, it naturally creates a stronger level of attraction. It shows she is comfortable in herself. She is not chasing validation because she is not trying to earn approval from anyone. She is simply looking for someone who can meet her energy, not reduce it. And that is where something interesting begins to happen in the dynamic. It becomes more like a natural dance between two people who can actually match each other. Not just in words, but in mindset, in emotional rhythm, and in the experience of feeling fully alive together. And there is something deeply attractive about a woman who brings peace into a man's life, not only through what she says, but through how she feels to be around. She becomes the calm in his storm, the quiet strength in his confusion, the steady presence he can lean into when everything around him feels overwhelming or too fast. She does not take over his struggles or try to solve his entire life, but she creates a space where he can finally breathe. And that kind of emotional peace is something men often desire more than they ever openly admit. In today's world, many men carry a lot of invisible pressure. Pressure to succeed, to stay strong, to make decisions, to control emotions, and to always appear capable. Even when they are tired, uncertain, or mentally overloaded, they are expected to keep going without showing weakness. Very few people actually pause and ask how they are doing on a real level, and even fewer create a space where they feel safe enough to answer honestly. This is why a woman who brings emotional peace stands out so strongly. She does not add more chaos to his life. She does not compete with stress or drama. Instead, she becomes the opposite of that energy. She becomes clarity, grounding, and emotional safety in human form. And if you are really paying attention here, this is not something loud or obvious, but it is deeply felt.